Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I'm your host, Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, your main proprietor at the Tenkar's Tavern blog. What was it, a week or two ago? I did a video on too many straight white older grognards making life difficult for everyone else, right? In the OSR. Oh my God. There's this panel at Capricorn, and it's about these annoying straight white guys and that they make life miserable for everybody. So let's put this into context. The recent article that everybody, if they're not discussing it, they should be discussing it. And yes, there are biases to this article. It's obvious. It doesn't make the article less interesting. It doesn't make it less relevant as long as you go into reading this article, hearing about this article, knowing that these biases are present. Okay? She doesn't hide her biases. Ringing the bell. This is near the beginning of the article. Having just escaped the world of incel culture, I was not much interested in the kind of people that write shitty messages on Twitter because a new Star Wars character is black. Okay. I'm not interested in that shit either. I'm not interested in Twitter or X for the most part. At first glance, that kind of harassment seemed both relatively well understood by my field and boring and pointless. I was more interested in those who, at least on paper, were like the people around me every day and who were what the industry claimed to want to be. Now, this will lead you a few things that she herself is likely a gamer or gamer adjacent. She didn't come into this blindly. I'll take that as one thing to take away from this. Um, but also, she's going out of her way to interview people that are like her. She's not looking for the broad spectrum of gamers. She's looking for people who are like her. And then she goes on. Creative artists, writers, progressives, feminists, LGBTQ plus folk. So I've had comments that, oh well, why are you just pointing out stuff from trans and lesbians? Because except for apparently one straight white male, or one that apparently identifies as a straight white male, everybody else is a lesbian or a trans person. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not a cross section of gaming. No more than saying, these old grognards are assholes. That was a that decision was already made by the person uh, putting together that seminar at Capricorn. There's already a predestination assigned to this narrative. I know why right wingers want to hurt diverse groups of creative people. I don't. Well, yeah, I do. It's not all right wingers. It's the assholes. Just like we're going to find out, it's the assholes in the industry, be they progressive, be they conservative, I'm guessing. But she didn't. She went to her comfort zone for this article. And by the way, this is not. Although the roots of this might be a research project or a paper for academia, this isn't that. Okay, this isn't that. Um, I don't have a handle on why diverse groups of creative people hurt each other, and I desperately wanted to. Okay. As someone who has, in the past, extensively interviewed serial predators and murderers, okay, um, I do not say lightly that what I found was genuinely despair inducing in a way I never expected. The reason why it's despair inducing in a way that she never expected is that she thought she was going to her community. I'm going to use that in quotes, but she was going to go to her community, her comfort zone, and they wound up having assholes and jackasses and abusers just like every segment of society. Holy shit. I never suspected that. I am stunned. I am stunned. Because listen, when I argue that not every person in the OSR, that the vast majority of the OSR is welcoming and they're good people and they're happy to add people to the OSR and to help new creators and help new gamers. I mean it. The vast majority are like that. And yet we remember the assholes. Just like when you go shopping, right? You go shopping at a department store or a big box store and you have a good experience. You had a good experience. You have a bad experience, you talk about it. You don't go home and go, hey, I had a great experience shopping at Macy's. But if you have a horrible experience, as somebody there who worked at the store was rude to you, these Macy employees are all a bunch of fucktards. They're assholes. They don't care about the customer, yada, yada, yada. One bad experience is all it needs. Well, this woman, she got to have her life turned upside down because she found out that people like her are assholes, manipulators, liars, vindictive, and she wasn't expecting that. And this was eye-opening. When you go and interview serial predators and murderers, you know what to expect, pretty much, right? They're convicted of crimes, of horrendous crimes. You know what they might deny it, but you expect certain things. You don't expect it from your comfort zone, right? I personally, if I see somebody in the OSR being a jackass and a dick, I don't care what their political background is. I get offended because they're making the whole OSR look bad, right? They're making gaming look bad. These assholes, these cocks, these jackasses, these pieces of shit make gaming look bad, whether they are gay or straight, whether they are cisgendered or otherwise, whether they are black or white, male or female, it doesn't matter. They make gaming as a community, tabletop gaming, look like a bunch of vindictive little pieces of shit. And that is why she was upset. That's why it hurt. I do not say lightly that what I found was generally despair-inducing in a way I never expected. In many ways, the felons I spoke to in prison were easier to understand and less unnerving to interview. Because a lot of times your felons that you interview in prison are going to deny. I got railroaded. I never did it. I never did it. These people are admitting to what they did. And they're admitting to lying. And they're admitting to accusations that were groundless. They were admitting to going along with the crowd because, well, these accusations are empowering. I'm going to go through some of the audio with follow-up videos. I think it needs to be done. And I find it unnerving that these people are in my hobby. They're in my community. I don't care what their orientation is. I don't care how they self-identify. They are gamers. They are creators. They are influencers. And this is how they act. Now, again, the other part of this article is like a redemption for Zach Smith. I don't know how much involved he was in this article. I got my suspicions. A lot of people that are generally, you would say, supporters of Zach have their suspicions. But that's not what I'm going to be addressing right now. I'm going to be addressing the pulling the band-aid off the scab and showing, yes, there are bad pieces of shit in this hobby. And it's not just in the OSR. And it's not these old white guys that are happen to be straight because whatever. They're everywhere. Just like real life. And it's surprising. And she went into this with blinders on, and the blinders got ripped off. And that's just therefore we have this article. Again, I will link this article in the show notes. I will put a pin to it. Grim Jim put up an audio file on YouTube of the audio. I will link to that too. All right. It's a long read. Read it with a large grain of salt. Don't take it at face value. Question. But the interviews are legit. I do believe. But there's stuff that you have to think for yourself on. But the bad actors, the bad actors part, yeah, they're there. And they have no shame. So I know Jim doesn't want to be praised, but he's doing good work. And he's going to get hell for it. He's going to get hell for it because you get pushback on stuff like this. Because it's uncomforting for people to, again, hear about your own. Again, if you tell me about, I'll believe it. You tell me about some fucking asshole in the OSR, I'll believe it because, again, every community has assholes. But this woman went into this believing that her community, people that were like her, progressives, were going to be good people. And I'm sure most of them were. We're only getting, by the way, I know people that were interviewed for this that aren't part of this article. But she pulled out the ones that were genuine pieces of shit. And God bless her for it. All right? Whatever other, thoughts she had going through her head, whatever her other aims were, God bless her for exposing the pieces of shit. So, on that note, I bid thee adieu. Again, expect more on this series. It is topical, it is relevant, and ignorance might be bliss, but knowledge is power. All right, folks. On that note, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll this dice well. I'll catch you all later. Oh, remember, it's a football playoff day today. The championships. If you like football, I hope your team wins, unless it's a team that I'd rather see win, in which case I hope your team loses. Nothing personal.